Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sakhana Vavadu Sakhana Punaktu Sakaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Madhyedamustamavat Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yogena Chittasya Patena Vacham Malam Sarirasya Cha Vaitikena Yopakritam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjalim Anadosasmi. Excuse me. Namaskaram. Atha Yoganusashanam. Atha Yoganusashanam. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. Tada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. Vritti Sarupyam Idaratra. Vritti Sarupyam Idaratra. So we saw this first two Patanjali Sutras. We started with the context of the discourse by Patanjali, what is being offered. So that Pradignya Sutra was the first one, Atha Yoga Anusashanam. So we saw that the literal meaning of it and the Lakshyartham for each of those terms. Yoga being the knowledge given, the next question therefore is, what is yoga? Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha. So he said that he is giving the knowledge about yoga as, in this context, as a sadhyam, as a lakshyam. What is the lakshyam? Chitta vritti nirodhaha. So this is what we have been seeing the last two classes. We complete in the last class. We just have a quick recap on it. Then the next two are the supplementary to the 1.2 to complete this definition. We will see these two as well today. So this 4 completes the essence of Samadhi Pada. That's the reason why I took some time to arrive at this stage of giving you maybe some taxing terminologies to go through. But once we finish this one, subsequently, it is going to be a further explanation of what is being discussed in this 4. Therefore, that's going to be quite easy, right? And we don't need to go so deep into anything anymore. So let's just recap what he done. So 1.3 will give you the question, if I attain this yoga sadhyam, which is the chitta vritti nirodha, what am I becoming? So that is a question to the teacher, and the teacher gives the answer in 1.3. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. The whole chapter is spent in Bhagavad Gita on this. Siddha Prajna, talk about it. And someone like me who says, what happens if I don't achieve it? If I'm not getting the yoga sadhyam, the chitta vritti has not happened, the nirodham not happen, then he's going to say, what is your life going to be? How you're going to be? So if you take this 4 sutras, at least the last 3, 2, 3, and 4, it is the essence of Samadhi part. We saw in the last class, Yogas Chitti Vritti Nirodha. Yoga as a sadhyam is going to give me Samadhi. And Samadhi we saw in 2 stages. We call it S1 and S2. And we very quickly expanded in the last few minutes in the last class that it is Sabija Samadhi and Nirbija Samadhi, or Samprajñana Samadhi, Asamprajñana Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Lots of terms. All these terms are called paribhashas, Like if you take a medical journal, you see photon excitement will be there or something like that. And that term is only applicable within that medical journal. We don't use it colloquially. Like that, Patanjali uses a lot of terms. So we will learn it as if necessary. So what is this samadhi? Let's just have a quick cap. Samadhi is to be in a state of absolute balance, complete absorption, a perfect state, equipoise, tranquil, controlled, balanced. Who doesn't want to be there? But we always not being there. If you take a pendulum like this, it moves left, right, left, right. The pace may change, the speed may change. The vector is very straight. It just goes, comes, goes up. But if you look at it, it is actually trying to reach the middle point. That's why it is coming down. But the momentum is so intense, it couldn't apply the brake. So it goes up. So like that, in our life, our behavior, emotions, our actions, always try to find a place of equipoise. And suppose you are able to be there, then that state of yours is called samadhi. We borrow this term to denote a dead person's body buried as samadhi. That's not what we are talking about. So don't be afraid. Here we're talking about being equipoise. Samadhana. It's a beautiful word, samadhana. But in the paribhasha of Patanjali, the samadhi is given into different stages. I was telling you in last class, it's sweetly deceiving, like a very loving mother drags the child to walk and showing that, oh, the reach is only very near, house is very near, keep walking, keep walking. And the little incentives is given to the child because it is only your effort you can reach. The gurus and the God's grace is only to prepare you to embrace that. I'm sure 9 out of 10 of us would, if God comes in front of us, in what form he can come? If you come in a very strange form, he gets nightmares. But if we come as a human being and we get our ego, how can another human being become God, God-man, gurus? We abuse them. So God has no way to come in front of you because we have shutters. Sometime we may have some punya, we may say, okay, the tree is a divine tree or the stone is a divine stone, this murtam is a divine murtam. Then we take some inanimate stuff and then we go around, pray, put milk and on top of it. But even that comes as a human form and talks to you as a guru, or ego comes in. But when you are able to see everything as it is, without the filter of perception, is samadhi. So here he talks about different stages. The two big stages, I wouldn't say stages, two big evolutes of this. Sabija samadhi. He adds the suffix samadhi to this. Sabija samadhi, nirbija samadhi. Bijam means seed. What is seed here denotes? It denotes that it has a potency to sprout. It can come out. What are we talking about here? We're talking about vritti. Therefore, it is vritti bijam. The bijam is that part of the chittam which will bring out the vritti. You know what vrittis are. Vrittis come from vishayat and vasanat. From the external objects that you see, experience, interact, plus the many janmas of action that you've done, and the samskaras are there, vasanas are there. So they become a condensed seed. It's a bijam. So when you have this is very interesting, because that means I have that always potential craziness will come to me, because I'm full of bundled emotions, behavior. So if I am able to get in a samadhi state by the grace of God and the gurus and my abhyasa, that's fine. Patanjali says that is called sabhija samadhi. Fine, grab it. Even though you are oscillating it, if you are going to reach that middle point and there is a momentary samadhi, take it. That's the reason why we always endeavor to reach the stage. Nirbijam means it's not that without the bijam, because we know that manonasam is not, you can't destroy the mind. We need to have the mind. Here the bijam is, it has no potency to sprout. The bijam is roasted in the fire of sattva, jnana. So when you are in that state, the samadhi is called nirbija samadhi. Okay. Obviously, you need to go from sabhija to nirbija. That's understood. The term that he uses, of course, he uses a lot of terms, but I think he uses most obviously in this sloka and this subsequent sutra, is sampragyata samadhi. Prajna means being aware of. I mean, thought is coming to you. You are able to appreciate the thought. You think about it. Some prajna. So with the prajna, same as this sabhija. There is a state called savitarka. We are going to talk about it later in detail. It's paribhasha again. Don't look at the dictionary. You may find a term which may not be really contextually correct. Here, savitarka means it is about contemplating. So we already taken the path. I want to be attaining the samadhi. I want to attain the yoga. Therefore, I do the yoga abhyasam. I have to be attain sabhija samadhi. Therefore, the first stage the goal that I have, the child walking with the mother, first is to go to that pet shop. That's the kind of thing. So the objective is to reach the stage where it is lowest hanging fruit. Here we're talking about abhyasam is not just the standing upside down, that's part of it. It is pranayamam, pratyagaram, dharana, dhyanam, japam, so many things. So let's take dhyanam, for example. Here, therefore, to attain the savitarka samadhi state, you contemplate on an object of contemplation. Well, you may say, look, I'm not here learning this about this highly esoteric spiritual goal. I want to be purposeful in my life. I want to get a best promotion. I want to complete this, writing this book. I have some laukika goals. That's fine. Your savitarka samadhi is to bring your mind towards that object that you want to achieve. So any object that you want to reach. See, when attainment in yoga means not physically attaining it, because how the closest that you can be with me is that I can touch you. So I attained you. But still closer is that you become me. So in Damdatyam, it becomes husband and wife, and they are together. They want to be one against each other, one to each other. Lord Shiva shows how the Ardhanarishvara one against each other, a physical way. But what it actually means is that attainment is complete when there is no difference. You become that. Advaitam is attainment. So that's why when you say, oh, I was writing this book or programming this computer, whatever, my mind was full of on that. So you have savitarkam is taking an object and contemplating it. We will see later how it is. Then you move from there to understand the subtlety behind this object. So it's a kind of elevated contemplation where you don't need a gross object to contemplate. You look at the underlying cause of it. So compared to Sabuna Brahma, I need to make this statue. Unless I see the God, we go to the temple and we all chat. Because why? The screen is closed. I can't see the God. So once the God comes in, put the phone down, you pray. Well, you need an object to see the presence of God. But when you elevate, you are in the temple, screen is closed, doesn't matter. This is Rama's temple, or any temple, I don't mind. Rama Nama Japam. So now you are not seeing an object for contemplation. You take Nama Japam. Or even if you talk about the object that you want to attain in the world, you think about the object, think about the goal, think about the underlying cause. Vicharam. So vichar. When you are doing that, you will be poised. Sometimes you are in a temple, the screen is not open, and you've been meditating, so blissful. Screen opened, everybody shouts, Hare Ram, bells ringing. You can't even see the God. Your mind is distracted. See, you may even better when you don't see the God. You see what I'm saying? Because you attain a small dose of savichara state of samadhi. So it is a kind of a finer state. But then when you do that, why I am doing this Nama Japa? See, sometimes people may think, no, I need to do 10,000 Nama Japas I want to do. I'm doing Japam. Doing the Japam, I'm counting it, 97, 98. I can't count. So I had to start again. No, don't need to worry. Because what happened is that the counting, everything is abhyasam to take you to Ananda, state of Ananda. Even the name doesn't say anymore. Name is, after all, a sound to denote Saptalingam it is. So you come to a position of bliss, Ananda. It's not a Laukika Sukha. Sukham is very different. Sukham is, what is Sukham and what is Anandam? I got an iPhone now, new iPhone 12 Pro. It gives me happiness. And then I left it somewhere. I have anxiety. Did I lose it? Or the moment I come with iPhone, say my iPhone 11 or something, a neighbor comes with iPhone 12. My 11 looks ancient. That which creates subsequent grief, shoka, but gives you momentary ananda is sukha. Laukika sukha. Here it is not. Here it is, once you get it, it doesn't go. It stays there. So that ananda, it comes to us. I'm not very technically correct in what I'm saying, but take it as it is. It comes to us, but we don't hold on to it. To be technically correct, you are Ananda Swarupa. You only see your Swarupa sometime. That's a Swarupa we're going to go and see forever, for good. So when you are in anything you do, the object is sometimes forgotten, the underlying cause is forgotten, the very thought of the object gives you bliss. It's Ananda. Then if you go further, so when you are in Ananda, the Ananda is, you are able to experience and enjoy the Ananda. You are thinking of the Ananda all the time. Sometimes you don't even think of the Ananda, you just stay there. But there is a little fear of not losing yourself. This is why this called Asmita means, Asmita technically means wrong notion of the self. What do we learned in the Tattvabodha class? Remember? Chidabhashan, Jiva, false notion. When you are in a state of the false notion, you don't want to give up, because we built our personality for many, many years since we were born, even before we were born, in whatever body we were. And when you come to Vedanta, it says, drop your identity. And why should I do it? I nourished it. Therefore, even if you become a yogi in this sabija state, attain this kind of equipoise, bliss, you hold on to that notion. You are able to see, I am happy now. I am contemplating. When I come out of it, all my ruts comes to me. I have to now repair my car, fix my computer, all kind of stuff. So you know all that. So this is the sabija state. So in all these things, your ego is holding you. The thought that you are consciously stopping is the rajaguna and tamaguna, because you want to control your passionate action and inertia. Sattva therefore rises. You're not nurturing sattva consciously, because by reducing the rajas and tamas, remember, all three are there with you. That's why even you don't need to go to the temple. If you are a good person, God comes to you. What does it mean? It means you are rajas, tamas, sattva dominant person. When rajas and tamas are dominating, sattva is underneath. When you reduce it, naturally the percentage wise it becomes bigger. When sattva dominates, that's fine. You can also you can promote sattva thoughts and it becomes bigger, So Nirbija is therefore the opposite of all this. Nirvitarka, Nirvichara, Ananda, Smita. All this is the same approach to samadhi, but here the vritti is dead. You are in sattva control, sattva domination. I'm not going to explain it because this is not even Patanjali explains in great detail, because this is to be experienced. This is a state of being where you are in a kind of a time gap and you don't know where you are. You are completely blissful. Time stood still. Then you come back to the world. Is it like sleep, you may say? That we already discounted this, because you're going to see sleep is also a vritti. It's called nidra vritti. It's a very subtle thought. We'll discuss it. So in your sleeping also, you are doing an action of sleeping. You would act of sleeping. We don't use it in colloquially, but you are. But what were you doing? Somebody asks you, say, I was sleeping. What were you doing? I was singing. No difference. The gerund singing or sleeping is a verb. That means you are doing. So sleep, you are doing a sleep, which means sleep is also a vritti. Patanjali, therefore, is so precise scientist. So we'll see that. So here there is unattached, and the first one gives you the knowledge, second one gives you the true liberation, nishta. So if you look at therefore vitarka, nirvit, samadhi, the savitarkam and nivatarkam, it is object orientation. You contemplate with the reasoning, because Lord Krishna, I like this reason, you contemplate on it. Vichara samadhi, savicharam, nirvicharam means reflection. Here you look at the cause, underlying cause, what it is. We will go through it in detail, because it is important, because we are going to experience this in case if you practice it. Then Ananda, where you look at the bliss, and Asmita, you look at the self. All this is called samapatti. How do I do this? Savitarkam, when I say I want to contemplate on something, I want to be that. I want to attain it. I want to be one with this. I can never do it. Why? Because I don't have the strength to face the challenges. Imagine I want to go and take the sea. I look at the sea. Sea is the title sea. I want to take the sea into me. I can contemplate on anything. I can contemplate on a small stuff, my goal in my office work, or I can contemplate on the objects of the world. I'm contemplating on the sea. I go to the sea, but sea doesn't take me. It throws me away. Tides come in, pearls come out, fishes come out. So either I get a resistance because I don't have the capacity to withhold them, or I get tempted by treasures of it. That's why when you contemplate, you get impediments. Oh, I need to sit in this class for 1 hour. My knee is hurting. The knee will hurt because it says, get out. We don't want this. Mind will say, do that. Or if I go to that class or that lecture or that, if I go to this light music session, I get some interesting time, something. So it is always throwing something, inhibiting something. And the reason for that is because we are able to objectify things. We objectify because we are, after all, in the time and space of it. If we don't objectify it, if we don't see as the waves and the fish and the pearls and everything, I go. So then you look at it and say, look, what is the sea doing? I watch it. As tides comes in, tides go down, and it stays there calm. It is continuously doing something. Therefore, it is also contemplating. Look at the mountain. Mountain is a much better example than sea. That's why for meditation, they take mountain as a most prominent one. Achalam. What is it doing? It is also meditating. Everything in this world is meditating. In their own form, some with rajasic quality, some with tamasic quality. Therefore, instead of fighting against them, why can't I be with them? I meditate with them. Therefore, if I meditate with the sea, with the mountain, I don't think about the mountain as a shape, mountain as the object, peak. I sit in the mountain, look at the mountain. As mountain meditates, I meditate. So therefore, you meditate with the universe. You see the difference? Meditating on the Swami, meditating with the Swami. That's subtlety, that there is a difference in this. So you can say the same thing, meditating on the underlying cause, tanmatras. I don't look at the object, I look at the subtlety of it. So if you take, therefore I don't meditate on a Saguna Brahman, I meditate on the sea, on the water, on the fire, on the wind, on the space. Therefore you are trying to transcend the time and space. So meditate, again they meditate, sun is meditating, fire is meditating. If you look at the deepam in a Swami room, it is just upright. What is it doing? Of course, physically it is burning out the thing, but it is meditating. It is trying to be one with where it came from. Panchikaranam, remember that? We always find happiness when we go back from where we come. That's why we physically, savitakam, savicharam, we always think about the source. Want to go back, go back, go back. Inevitable. Like a river is going back to the sea. Same way, when you do Anandam in this Tabijam, you think about, I want to be happy. In Abhigaram, you just be in a joyful state. In Asmita, therefore you think about yourself, meditating on the self. Atma Vicharam you do. Who am I? Asmita. But when you are Nirbijam, who can say what it is? You're one with the Brahma. So I would complete now. I won't tax you with this anymore until it's necessary for Samadhi. But this will give you a good grounding on where we are going to go next. So Sabijam is limited by time and space, egocentric. Transcendental meditation, Samadhi, is where the time and space is dropped. You can't drop it, it will go by itself. And the ego goes away. Now we come to the next sutra. Tada drishtuhu swarupe avasthanam. We look at the literal meaning first. Tada means then. There is a atha. Atha. Now, hereinafter. Tata, thereafter, then. Drashtuhu. Drishyam, drishti, to know. So drashtu is one who see. Drashta is one who see. Drashtuhu means the seers, knowers. If you hear something, it's a hearer. Seers, seer. But sometimes we say, do you see the point? We say, while discussion, we say, do you see the point? That means, do you understand? Do you know? So here you can say drishtu is not literally the seer in the sense of one who is able to know. Swarupe. Swa means the self, rupe. In this rupa. Now sometimes people say, don't provoke me, I will show my swarupam, they say. I remember one of my aunts used to say, she used to be a tall lady, and she always used to say, no, if you're mischievous, I show my swarupam. I used to wait, where is the swarupam? When is she going to show me? And probably she didn't even know that what the swarupam is. So the swarupam, one's own nature. You and I would know, maybe, Patanjali's meaning, what we learned in Vedanta, the self, the Atma. Patanjali is not going to talk about it because he has already told his goal is very, very straightforward. Yoga Anusasana. He's going to talk about the process of reaching the state. So Atma Jnana Vicharam is not in this Patanjali Sutra. That's the reason why in the Sankhya school, Yoga school, when they stop with this one, we don't. We go to Vedanta, but we come here to take the sadhana. So you're not going to talk about the Swarupa Vyagyanam in this Patanjali Sutra itself, but we'll bring them into this context because it's important for us. Sthanam, avasthanam. Sthanam means a place. Stop, stationary. All this word come from the root sta. Sthanam, Hindustan, Turkestan, Afghanistan. Avasthana means firmly established, re-established, holding on to, remaining. So many different meanings are there. So therefore, you can literally say, thereafter, the seer's nature is established in the Swarupam, or the seer is established in his or in her own nature. Tada. Tada means thereafter. Thereafter what? Where are we coming to this sutra? Are we coming from? Sutra 1.2. 1.2. Therefore, after 1.2 has been achieved, that means after you achieve the sadhyam of yoga. My internet is playing up, so let's see. So okay. So after the Asamprajnana Samadhi, after the Nirbija Samadhi. So after I achieve that one, see, is it the Prayojanam here we're talking about? See, if I run a 100-meter dash, and if somebody tells me, what happens to him when he wins his race? You don't say he'll become famous, he'll get money. That's not the question. What happens to him? So you may say he becomes joyful, breathless nature. So there is something happens to the person and something he attains. So what he attains, as far as Patanjali is concerned, they are byproducts. They're all going to come in the Vibhuti Patham. Ashtama Siddhi, you can walk on the water, you can see somebody's thought, all that is going to come. But here he talks about what happens to that person, to him. That person is established in his Swarupam. But we need to understand this. The actual meaning, therefore, upon the dissolution of vrittis, that means upon attaining the samadhi, the seer. Why couldn't he say, he could have said that yogi or that person. He says that seer, that knower. There is an insight here. If one has to be in one's own nature, which is one has to be at his Atma, that person has to be the knower of the Atma. Well, even before that, you may ask the question. This sounds crazy, because in Vedanta we learned everybody is inside his Atma, whether you know it or not. So if I am Atma, because I don't even realize it, but I know it because I go to Vedanta class, the teacher teaches me. My child is also Atma, but she doesn't know it. She doesn't go to Vedanta class. So she's not a knower. I am the knower. But one who is not knowing is also in the Atma. So what's the difference? So therefore here, the implied meaning is, here one who knows the Atma Jnanam remains established in that Atma Jnanam. It used to be a parable where this beggar used to beg sitting on a pile of rubbish. He sits there and always begs. And so one day he died, and then the villagers wanted to bury him. And so they thought, okay, this guy died here, let's bury him in the same place. And they digged up this pile of rubbish he was sitting on it, underneath full of gold, which he did not know. So he did not know that he was sitting on the gold, but he was begging. Like that, we do not know that we are Atma. So we become so worryful, rueful in life. So here, if I know that is, imagine that beggar knows that gold is somewhere under his feet. Would he beg? Even if he begs for a tool and use the tool to find the gold. That's the reason why it is important to search for the tranquil nature of ourselves with the right tools after knowing that I have the treasure. That's the reason why we go to Vedanta Vichara, understand Atma is there, but I don't have the capacity to hold my mind. I come here, therefore I am the drashtu, the seer, but I don't have the capacity. Now I have the capacity. Why? Tada, after I attained this chitta vritti nirodha. Why this struggle? Why can't I get it straight away like knowledge? Jnanameva moksham. No. Here abhyasam is a kaivalyam. For that, the mind is the impediment to that. So we can look at in a simpler way, we can look at it in two different categories. When the yoga is not attained, whether you are practicing it, you didn't get the yoga yet, or you don't even know what yoga is, or you know but you don't care, or any Joe bloke, his mind is under the influence of the worldly objects and his ego, is it not? Therefore, if I have to define his chittam is his antakarana, his whole faculty, internal faculty, I can say this is called Vyuttana Chitta. Utta means getting up. Vyuttana means getting up. It means, here I think Patanjali talks from the yoga perspective. When you are not in yoga, when you get up, we can take it for anybody. One who has got up and going around the world, his mind is called Vyuttana Chitta, your mind and my mind. When you learn the yoga and go through and attain the Sabija Samadhi, you are able to control your rajasic and tamasic nature. Sattvic is there, but still your mind is controlled, conditioned by these objects and your ego. Therefore, Patanjali is a very strict master. Even this he calls is a Vyuttana Chitta. But it is far better than somebody who is not doing japa. You can very easily make out a person who is not easily shaken by emotions, who doesn't make a cry or laugh unnecessarily, swayed by the emotions. Either he must be a muda, a stupid guy, understand what is happening, or he must be a yogic path he is in. He's able to control his emotion. But this is still a Viddhana Chitta. In this two states, you cannot reach the Samadhi. But when you go to Nirbija Samadhi, the Chitta is called Niruddha Chitta. You know the reason for it. Niruddha means Nirodham. You have controlled, regulated the mind. It's full of sattvic thought. Your ego is subsided. So when you are in that state, Patanjali says, you become your own Swarupam. You become your Atma. How is it? This sutra comes and confirms the Sutra 1.2 and clears some doubts. We need to really know who is this person we are talking about? Who is this seer talking about? We know to know is to use your buddhi. Be very specific. Know your mind, your antakaranam, but buddhi is the first evolute of Prakriti, which reflects the effulgence of Purusha. Here we are talking about the Sankhya talk, not the Vedanta talk. Sankhya talk, the buddhi, the Prakriti's finest first evolute, reflects the Purusha, and therefore it becomes a knower. So Purusha and Prakriti. Here, the Tantric and Yogic and Sankhya uses the word Chiti Shakti. Paribhasha. So don't take it beyond this. Shakti denotes the Prakriti, Jada Shakti. Chitti denotes the reflection of Chit. Chitta Bhasha we say. Chitti is a reflection of the Purusha. Shakti is Jada Shakti of the Prakriti. When they combine, it becomes a Chitti Shakti. The ability to know. So in this Sankhya's theory, that is Chitti Shakti. We call it, you can simply say Buddhi, no problem. So therefore you can see the Purusha and Prakriti, remember in Sankhya's case, there are two different ones. They can never, the twain shall never meet. That is where I think Kapila got a ceiling to his thoughts. There are two different things. They are anadi, they always exist. Whereas Patanjali came and said, no, they exist separately, but there is a Ishvara who has got control over the Prakriti. In Vedanta, we said, okay, this is confusing. Prakriti is Maya, the power of Brahma. Purusha is Brahma. So everything evolutes there. So let's not go there, but just wanted to put the connection there. So the Chit Shakti is there. So in this sutra, if he says that if the buddhi has no more thoughts, chitta vriddham, nirodham has happened. Patanjali says, you become your swarupa. So my Chitti Shakti, my buddhi becomes what? We thought the buddhi's role is two things. One, using the first three things, it gets the light from the Purusha, get animated, then go out and get all the objects. Secondly, the objects creates vritti, and then enjoys the vritti and present the vritti to Purusha. But now there is no vritti. Complete, the white screen, Chitta Sattva is there. So this confused those who are not in Vedanta, including Sankhya's. So the question is, that means, does Purusha continue to eliminate the buddhi, even there is no vritti? So when there is, imagine a state, this is inexplicable, I'm no way qualified to say this, but the yogis, when they attain that state of rhythm, do they still have conscious? Do they become subconscious? Or they become unconscious? There is no vritti. We are going to solve this problem because unconsciousness also is called a kashayam. Like vritti is a kashayam. It's a concoction, decoction. Kashayam means klesa kashayam, atma kashayam. Kashayam means a stain. So this is one question. Nyayas, who are logicians, who only uses the brain and the rational thinking, they say, no, when the completely thoughts have stopped, no more thoughts, the so-called Purusha is inanimate. He is as good as Prakriti, just nothing there, nothing to do, nothing to see, nothing to experience. Therefore, you'll be, sadly, if I had to use the word dead, nothing there. Until the Prakriti creates some animation, some mutation, some vritti comes in. So, Tantric went through this path as well. So, therefore, Prakriti is a dominant force, and if that is the case, why am I have to struggle this to go to that state of vegetation? I might as well die. It doesn't really solve the problem. Or the Buddhists take a very simple option. So why complicate this? No problem solving. Let's say. Now, when your thoughts finished, fadafet, Purusha is gone. Therefore, they say there is no Atma, Shunyam. Then why am I doing all this? Well, you said you were suffering, and I said suffering is due to your thoughts. Therefore, I tell you to control the thoughts. When you have no thoughts, no suffering, that's it. You are finished. Shunyam. This is not what Buddha said. This is what the Buddhist followers interpreted his silence into a wrong eloquence. So all this is, of course, we are not talking about philosophical discussion here. We're only going to the sadhanas. But I wanted to say how Patanjali in the sutra implied this is not the way that should be taken. And Bhagavan says, in the chapter 6, Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyam atmani tushyati. See, when you finish Patanjali Yoga Sutram and when you do a little bit of practice and when you go back to Bhagavad Gita, if you listen to the lectures again or read the books again, you will see on a completely different light. That's why this is all treasure. It illumines you depending on your capacity to throw lights, on this. So yatra uparamate means rejoice. Chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. If you do the niruddham through yoga abhyas. Sevaya means yoga abhyasam. If you do yoga practice and do chitta niruddham, which basically what he says is, he has given you all the Patanjali yoga here. If you do this chitta vritti nirodhakam, if you do, in other words, when you attain the nirbija samadhi, yatra cha eva atmana atmanam pashyam atmani tushyate. So tushyati means fulfilled, happy. In what? Passion. So you are able to see, cognize Atma, Atmanam. The self will be seen in the self. The I, the notional I, why I'm thinking my ego will submerge, abide into my true self. And in that, I'll be very happy. There is nothing shunyam. There is no change to Purusha. Purusha, like sun is a very limited example of Atma. Sun will decay, sun will die one day. But this is the best example we have. So where the sun goes and falls in a gutter or in Ganges or in Thames or in my head, sunlight doesn't get polluted or glorified. Sun is as it is. Depending on where it falls, if it falls on a butter, it melts. It falls on a paper, it burns. It falls on a seed, it grows. Same way, the buddhi, when the effulgence comes in, it creates something. But when the buddhi becomes still, remember, still is not manonasham. It is sattvic dominance. Then what the Patanjali says, you become that Atma. Again, it's not technically right. You don't become, you or your being is Atma. This is also, he proves it, concludes it. Like, in Gita, chapter 2, verse 12 and 13 and 14 gives you what Bhagavan wants to say to Arjuna. And again, in the 18th chapter and 65, he says, concludes the same thing. So all the good communicators will always conclude with what they wanted to say. He says the same thing in the Kaivalya Yogam. He says, don't worry, you will be Purushartha Sunyam. Use the word Shunyam because Artha Shunyam here. The means of Purushartha. It's all gone. The Kama, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, everything is gone. Even moksha is gone because you are already in the moksha. You don't search for something when you are already there having that one. But you have a very beautiful word he uses, of course, in the conclusion part, but we are going to do the act. What is the word he uses? Gunanam pratiprasavaha. We know that, all the grief is thoughts, but thoughts is guna. You see, now we are doing a vicharam, not vitarkam. I am grieving. My grief is because of my thoughts. My thoughts because of my gunas. My gunas, then you know, my prakriti. Therefore, what yoga is doing is all this come out of it. Prasavam. Prasavam means coming out. Prakriti came out, gave the gunas. Gunas gave out Mahat. Mahat gives you Ahankara. Ahankara gave you all this stuff, Antakarnas and things like that. So therefore, Patanjali says, don't worry, put it back. Because the happiness is going back to the root. So opposite of prasavam is pratiprasavam. Pratibimbam. Like a pratiprasavam. What is he doing? Gunanam. He takes the gunas, give it to what? Thank you very much, Prakriti. Have it, your gunas. I am a Purusha. I don't want all those. Gunatitam. So to do that, you must transcend the Rajasic and Tamasic, become Sattvic, and then the Sattvam also you should give up. You don't need to give up, it will fall off. You become a Gunatitan, Nirguna Brahman. So Nirgunam does not mean Ashubham or nothing like that. People sometimes say, Swami is a Kalyana, Sakala Kalyana Gunas. Yes, I am happy to see because I want to be full of Kalyana Guna. I want to attain Kalyana Guna. I want to attain Sattva Guna. My yoga tells me whatever I want to achieve, I should focus on it. Therefore, I don't want to take Nirguna Brahma because I am not able to hold on to it. I have so much of rubbish in my mind. I want to purify my mind. Therefore, my object of contemplation is Sattva Guna, Kalyana Guna Brahman. I want Swami with all the gold representing Sattvam, all the glittering diamonds, flowers, Deepam, all Sattva, light, illuminating. Hiding his any kashayam there. But then, once you are there, God says, yeah, fine, now I'm gone, everything, take away. All these angams, everything is limited. I am now a lingam, Sadashiva lingam. No form, nothing, no jewel, nothing, just a stone. I give you this last one to contemplate. That's why Markandeya takes that and takes the linga. Oh, I now found you. When Kala time comes in, that's a Purana story, when Yaman comes to kill Markandeya, he goes and embraces the Lord. God did not kill time. It's not his business to do. Time is always there. But he removes him from the gunanam pratiprasavaya. The gunam is gone, time is gone, space is gone. When you are reading a book, when there is no time passes away, so engrossed, you cannot say you were happy or sad. If you think about it. No, I was just layam. I was just there. What happened to your happiness, sadness, excitement? Aditam, gunaditam. You have actually taken the step of taking this anxiety of your gunas and give it to Mother Prakriti. Hold on to it. I don't need it. Now, if you can do that, it's called Laya Yoga. That's what yoga is. Pushing it back, pushing it back, pushing it back. Then it comes to the next one. If it is the Atma Swarupam is what I become, what happens if I don't have this? So Vritti Sarupyam Idaratra. Vritti Sarupyam Idaratra. Vritti, you know what it is. I don't explain it. Sarupyam. Rupyam means one with Rupa. You become one with appearance of. Itara Atra. In Sanskrit, Kutra, Tatra. Itaratra. The locative case here. Elsewhere. Elsewhere is what? Elsewhere from the Chitta Nirodham. Chitta Vritti Nirodham. That means if I don't have the yoga, if I don't attain the samadhi, if I'm not controlling my thoughts, if I'm not one with my object of contemplation, in those times, in those places, I become the appearance of my thoughts. I become like my thought. In other words, we are driven by our desires and my thoughts. We don't know ourselves. You know, I scold you now, and you quote me, oh, that angry man. Why are you telling me? Why don't you say Raja? You call angry man. Because you saw me angry. So you can see, I don't see that I become anger. I still tell you, no, I was angry. I'm not anger myself. But you will see me as an angry man. You can see the modification in me. You see? You're a happy man. So you become the thought. You know, gently they say, so let's see the meaning of it. The meaning, therefore, is the non-seed of the self. It means anybody. This is missing in this sutra. You need to put it in. Here, drashtuhu is adrishtuhu, one who does not see the self, identify with the form and the nature of the vrittis. Now, people normally say, right? You are what you think. You know, it's some famous people, Mark Twain, said the same thing. Your thought is you. It is correct. If for those who do not understand the science of Sanatana Dharma, who are not fortunate enough to learn the true nature of ourselves, that it is. You are what you think. That's why in the children, we tell them always say positive things. If I express anger and somebody can see me as an angry man, not myself, I don't want to project, like I want to, what sometimes, especially I'm not sexist, but men or women, these days men also, they spend time to make themselves makeup, to project themselves good looking. Appearance is very important. Appearance is deceptive, but appearance is important. Now that appearance, that lotion that you apply to your face and all that is not just the physical part, your internal part. Smile. In yogasana, meditation, one other thing my teacher told me many years back, mudita vatanam. So you must have this smiling face. You see, look at any Buddhist statue, any Shiva, Vishnu, they close their eyes and they smile with the kind of smile there. They show you that you need to smile. That, of course, you'll see that physically it creates some positive vibes for you. So your gunas, your thoughts would make you. So if you therefore believe what you think you are, the first thing you should do is that you think positive. So we tell the children, don't say bad things, We give a Puranic legend to it. There are angels flying around, they say, Omen, Omen, the Dastu, Dastu. So if you think negative, the Dastu will become correlated to this. Therefore, whatever you thought negative will happen. They tell you so that you don't think negatively. But we know that we are not our thoughts, because what we just learned, we control the thoughts. Is it not? So you use the mind, or the mind uses you? That's the question you should ask yourself. Sometimes we say, I use the mind. Good. But think about it. Do you really use the mind, or mind uses you? If you know this, the dichotomy is very subtle. We will ask this question only when we are in a great distress, because we are helpless. Mind is not thinking. See, mind is what? Mind is collection of 3 gunas. If I have to define life in 3 words, what is the 3 words that you will define your life? That should apply to everybody's life in this world, every human being's life. Can you say 3 words? We know in chapter 1, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says this. Sukham, Dukkham, Moham. Your life is happiness, grief, confusion. Nothing else. Anything you think, every experience, every event falls into this category. You don't know what to do at some stage. Either you are sleeping or confused. Moham. You are grieving. Shokam. You are enjoying it. Shukam. It comes because of your raga, dvesham, avidya. So many reasons. Bhagavan says in so many ways. Therefore, if you take this, combine it together, I take a mixture of, now you know all this happens because of the vritti. So when you are happy, there's a happy thought has come, because happy action comes from the happy thoughts. Now we are going to the root of everything. Therefore, if I redefine my life now, because now I'm a yoga student, I don't say now just Shuga, Dukkha, Moha state. I say Shuga Vritti, Dukkha Vritti, and Moha Vritti. Is it not? Because I'm happy because happy thoughts there, sad thoughts. Now then you say, I am now advanced yoga class. I am now trying to do the Vritti Nirodham. Therefore, when I do the Vritti Nirodham, when I combine all this, crush it and make it Sattvam, then you apply to me. I am the mind. So what? I am Sattvam. But if when I am not in the yoga, I am this Kashayam, the concoction. See, all the renunciated people, sannyasis wear the Kashayam, this dress, kavi. One significance of that is they're expelling, that they are supposed to be avaduta. They should give up everything. Why are they wearing it? Of course, for the dignity of this world, fathers, they wear this cloth. And they choose this kavi and kashayam. Because all this mental concoction, they are expelled out. Internally, there's nothing there. What is inside also out now. That's why they wear the kavi. Or they wear the white sattvam. The mind is full of sattvam. Okay, nowadays the people wear blue, yellow, and they make a fashion statement. I don't know. But what I was trying to say, yeah. So therefore, here, vritti sarupyam idaratra. When you are not in the yoganishta, when you are not in the state of samadhi, when you are not in the state of sattvic chittam, you are your mind. Now it's very worrying, because if it is my mind, I don't want to expose myself to that. Therefore, I will go back and do the Chitta-nivritti Nirodha. So I want to stop it here. I think we concluded this 4. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya.
Om Asato Ma Satgamaya.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya.
Soma Jantirgamaya.
Mrityorma Amrdam Gamaya.
Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti, 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 Shanti.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.